Sun God is me, milk. At the end of the slides, I go to speak about the things. Thank God. I go to change for. You see now, one by one. This is Sun and my symbol in YouTube. Thank God. Me, that I'm specialized in timber. For many years I work in the timber. This is my name somewhere here. And it was from 1994. I was young at the time. Now I'm 64. And I'm old. With cancer. 5 years from now, from the time of COVID. Milk. I begin this job for agriculture for two things. Milk and one plant I'll show you next. That is expensive, still expensive in China, milk. And I did this kind that I do when I begin to have chemotherapy, the treatment. I begin to do this kind of things that I'm doing now. It was this plant, these goji leaves. They are very rich mineral nutrients, minerals and vitamins. And it was a chef from a kitchen who developed this in one region to give jobs to the people and to increase the work in that region. That took 2 years but get successful. And it was this man who makes me to do all of these jobs and put it in YouTube. Without him, this job didn't exist. This is parts of I was preparing for cows in arid regions with salty lands where we can have normal vegetables. You can do it. And I developed something with for fertilizers too, because everything of this is for soils without any value. This is one of the jobs I find interesting for seawater agriculture. And I'm going to speak later on in another program, but I think you can have this situation that here, but in the middle of the deserts, that can change the climate and can still be productive and one more place for people living. This one is from India, but I think we can connect this with Africa too, for palm trees, or oil palms, and that I think we need to begin to do it in Africa, connect with this situation that they are doing in India. It's from the past before. One of the things I find very interesting is bamboo. And you can read, and it's the base of bamboo and spirulina, the more important things that I find for Africa, Asia, and Central America and South America. I took this thing from this YouTuber. Is why I understand now the value of the bamboo. Because these parts here, let I show how they can be used. Bamboo can be worked, and you can take this part here that is with protein too. Because like parsley, all the body is protein, have the same characteristics. Bamboo must have the same characteristics here than here. Oh, you see, we have cows eating bamboo. But in the future, it's not in this way that we give bamboo to the cows. This is a photo. This is in Brazil. But it's to show some countries when you are only producing one kind of product, this can have problems with illness, and another country can begin to produce a product that we don't expect and change all the markets. You need to have different crops in one country. failure of crops is something that I think in 10 years' time will be very common, with people dying from hot weather and wet weather. And no crops, no food to eat, maybe 10 years' time. This is spirulina. There are different ways to produce spirulina. This is one of them. Like I saw in the bamboo, if you watch this video, you are going to do that we can do with bamboo lots of things. And when you are doing them, you just can keep the green part when it's work, keep by side for animal feed. Spirulina, this one is a kind of algae. Maybe it's spirulina or not, it's algae. And just to say, not all algae are green, some are with color, and we have for sweet water and salt water. This one is spirulina. That in this program, I choose two products that I think is very important for animal feed: cows, pigs, sheep, chickens, rabbits. Is don't use spirulina in a solid way, but by a drinking way. Or say we can stop soya from moving from one continent to another one and changing soya for spirulina. And because spirulina, if you try to dry it, is very complicated. I begin to think in spirulina, I took it off and I put it again, because spirulina is like water for the animals drinking. And they get full of protein, and with bamboo full of protein. And maybe later on you need a different crop to give fat to the animals, more fat, that is peanuts. The way of drinking, we humans, we drink spirulina, and it's in this way that the animals are going drinking spirulina too. And the advantage of spirulina is that we can produce spirulina by side a producer of cows, pigs, chickens. You can produce spirulina locally. You don't need to transport the spirulina. The enterprises can produce spirulina at the place. That means to get protein, we don't need to cross an ocean with soya for animals to get protein. This is partially, I know this for a long time, because in the past we used only this part here on the top. At least I'm Portuguese, and we throw this part away. But it's exactly the same. Value here or there are the same, with the same character. Like in the banana. The outside of banana you can eat and have the same things that we have inside the banana. That way, I think bamboo is exactly the same. The part that is green is exactly like the leaves. And is this part, how you see, this is an animal with a stomach not prepared to eat vegetables, but meat. How they get the protein? By bamboo. They eat this part of I've seen in many things, they eat this part. Of course, they need to be small like this one, because it's very hard for them to take it. But they take the green part and eat from this. Machines will be very easy to do that. But it's just to show of the importance is bamboo, because if you can live with bamboo, those animals can live better with bamboo than the panda. The way to use bamboo to take after the green part is here. We are going to put in a machine, and you take the top and down. And the top with green can go for an animal feed, full of protein and using. And we have a lot of bamboo in Central, South America, Africa, China, Asia, that we can have one more product to use in an animal feed. So well, we can press the bamboo. It's interesting because pressing this, you are going to have this situation. This one is pressed, this one is not pressed in the same way. They are different. This one is very solid, resistant. This one is less. And the weight from one side to another, because here you have a much more quantity of bamboo than here. One way of to use these parts of bamboo is doing things like this. Because bamboo is strong enough to do these things. The way of, if this one was white and green, will be bamboo. This kind is pine. But when they are preparing bamboo for the other things, they get exactly this very thing that can go directly for the animals to eat. And we see the hard part of the bamboo will be very soft when the animals eating very thin. We say it helps a lot for the digestive system. Another way of to prepare bamboo from the forests, for example, cleaning up the forests and after putting again in the machine to do this for animal feed, good for chickens. This is spirulina and this is duckweed. We have many different kinds of duckweed from the family. This one is big quantities, also can be used with animal feed and human feed. For example, to do flour or to do bread, and give them dry in the portions that we give to the animals, cows, everything. Because spirulina and duckweed, azolla, they have about 60% of protein, full protein. Is why is a way to have food full of protein more than anything else, easy to produce, easy to give to the animals, dry and wet. So I show you here that I get very, because I thought potatoes were very poor in protein. But potatoes are rich in protein, you see. Something very strange and new for me. For example, corn is good, soy is here. Microalgae is here. And how we see we use potatoes for animal feed, the small ones. When the pigs went to before killing them, used to give small potatoes that they were sorry, produce and give to the porks to get them fat. Another way of duckweed, you see, is very easy to produce. Algae, I think from sweet water or salt water, this one. Because we have algae from salt water and sweet water. And both of them must be increased production for animal feed. You can produce them, dry them, and make flour for animals. A big installation of them, maybe spirulina or is more common, because all of these situations in my videos, I don't speak about anything new. I just have two things new, is how to produce electricity. I got 3 new systems to produce electricity, by water, by air, and by electricity. You can produce electricity by air with another air, and by water, going down, up. All the 3 systems to produce electricity are new. Without that, everything is old. And the new things are working with old things too, because the system is new to produce electricity. But what are there are very old, developed for many, many years. I'm not putting anything new here. Like this one is to make alcohol. Is to make for diesel products or chemicals. It's the dream of the people to do it, but specialized for small pills or to make chemicals is how we have been using this work. Now I'm going to use these things to produce locally in the farms for the people having enough protein to mix after they can drink the protein, the spirulina that is mixed with water, and after all the crops, vegetables, corn, anything with organic products for them to transform. How you see is that with day 1, day 5, day 10. It's possible to produce a lot of this for animal feed. There are some things like urinous and conventional fertilizers. You can have a look in agri-science. This is a product. When I begin to produce milk in places where we don't have soil, you use solar panels on the top, and these things going 500 meters, 1 kilometer from each side, left and right, moving to produce it was for cows. I thought that for China, where it begins the program, but it's a very situation for Arabic countries, from North Africa, Mauritania, all the deserts, Chile, is a very good process. The water can be sprayed or can go in where is this part here, the water moving, time by time we put just a little water for them to get wet. The same thing for goats, see? Any animal eat this. Sisazole is not liquid, you see it's different, but it's more or less the same family. It grows much like duckweed. I spoke for deserts. One of the things is, for example, to have 500 meters, 1 kilometer in one way each side, covered with panels, not with these things to be outside, that protect from the sun and from the freeze from the night. The ice sometimes comes during the night and damage the plants, and they protect for that. When they are not producing anything, they make a kind of ceiling to protect the things. And these things can go 500 meters in one way and another way to produce the things that we have seen before. This is a system for wetting, but you can have, not by spray, coming water in this side. For example, for long distance, it's better to have the water moving under here in the things with a tube that goes for 100 years and put water in the system time by time. So the water are going to circulate here in the base without to be the spray. This is a way of producing things. For example, for that kind of seeds, they need to stay out of light for a time. And after they can be placed in these things, and after moving outside. They can be in not a kill dry, a place where we keep these things. And after a few days, we put them outside in the system, everything automatically. These things are not to do manually. All of these situations that we saw the things before can be made by machines, not by hand. Another way of the queer, you see, places like Africa, Ethiopia, I don't know how much they can use this, but people don't know. And I think the agricultural ministers from a country must pay more attention to food security for animals and for people. Don't forget, in 10 years' time, continents cannot have food for the people and people are going to die. This is a kind of liquid we call Lema minor, because it's very, very small. It's good for fish. In parts of the fish, I will to do a program later on. This is the base for giving food to the fish, mainly for carp. Another way, a rudimentary way to produce these things, you see. Another way, with water or with fish down. also is a little dark because this system is outside and in these conditions can get. But the animals eat the white part and the green part because this kind of product, when we give to the animals, we give the white and the green part because all of them are full of protein. Another way, we have many of these situations. Another way, with water, soil. With soil, we can prepare a soil rich for which kind of vegetables. The advantage of using these systems is that we can prepare the soil with fertilizers for which quality of fruit or vegetables that we want. These ones I think are from water. After we have more electricity, it will be easy to have these kinds of production because the new system to produce electricity will be very cheap to produce electricity and enough for everybody. We see more spirulina or other things that we use for animal drinking. This is things where we can prepare the soil. It's with water, you see. Another way, preparing production of must be spirulina, because spirulina is there are another word, I forget now. But there are things you can have in water like this. Other things, for example, duckweed don't like water moving. And spirulina accepts that, and it's the light. That means you can have spirulina another one, but because spirulina is a little blue, it's not like these ones. And the things with light you can have larger. If it's duckweed or azolla, must be open. Another way we see how we can have a different soil here, prepared for the kind of things that we want, and outside can be stone or cement. Say, we don't need outside, we just need these things to keep the trees inside. I took this photo because first it's a pretty picture, but it's just to say this fruit likes acid soil. I say we can have them and prepare the cell for them in a different place. I find this one very interesting because I think this thing has some air inside that protects more the soil from here because it's like insulation of the water. I find this system very interesting. These things are down because they are from Asia to protect the trees from the wind. If they expect a cyclone, they put the trees down. The banana, that is not a tree. And I look for everything, different crops that normally are not used for animal feed. But I think every country needs to pay what products they have and what we can give to the animals. We have cows, pigs, and we have the camel and the buffalo, water buffalo. They have different stomachs and way how to digestive system. And for example, in some places that you are not used to have camels, for them, they can be a better way, a camel than a cow. Another way interesting, you see, for a desert, using places where we don't have good soil for a different purpose with the soil prepared for that product that you are going to use there. That it was when we had COVID, they speak about these things. They are still used, and they can be used for the crops. because I think we have a problem that in the next animals, I'll speak about it, that we need to begin to use these things for animal and human feed, for cereals, for them, with can be contaminated with the bird flu, and you can have the problems too, getting the virus, not from the chickens, but from the cereal that we make bread. Of course, they are going to an oven. I think they are going to kill everything in bread, in the oven. But for animal, goes directly and can kill the animals. Nice chicken is something that reminds me when I was small. I love animals. And it comes here. For example, when we have soybeans, we are collecting them in the field. They will be, I think it appears here, like the pork swine fever. They can be contaminated by the food. So because they are in quarantine in these things, how they get the virus? Pigs and chickens, they get the virus from the food. Because in the fields, yeah, I didn't find it here, it's not it. But in the fields, when we separate, when we take them from the land, we separate the outside from the cereal. And the beans at that time can be contaminated by pigs with the pork swine, like these ones, that are going to pass through the fields. And when we collect the animal feed, we are going to transmit this illness and this one by the food to the animals that are in quarantine that cannot get they cannot get the symptoms without the food. It's why you need virus to kill everything. And for bamboo is exactly the same thing. They must pass through lights to kill all the contamination in the bamboo leaves. The lights are important for human cereals and for animals cereals. Because I think both of them are contaminated from the outsiders. From the hydroponics aquaculture is a way how to have in a place we don't have a good land to prepare for have vegetables, fruits with the water that is filtered and goes to the vegetables. And they can grow very fast because it's a fertilizer. This is another thing that without have a pond that people do artisanal for a fish, you can have lakes with salt or sweet water in the mountains, in the deserts, because all the deserts is not only with sand, but they have a lot of mountains. That you can take air from the sea or from a river, and you have preparing land for fish in a natural way. For example, it's for, what is the name of the carp? There is a kind of, it's a vegetarian carp, maybe later on I remember the name, that we can feed with duckweed. We use the duckweed. If it's too much, you need to take. If it's not, if you organize the way, the fish are going to eat the green part on the top, and it's producing for the next time. We cannot have too much or too less, but you can control the system. Another things that I show, this is not probably one of the, but it's just to say that you can have these things in a big way and be transport outside in the places that we don't have soil. And have big productions of everything, from vegetables to eat, for animal feed, for many things. because it's this way. We can close the top for the night or during the day if we have too much cold, frost in the morning, and during hot weather, sun to protect the things, because life without soil don't exist. Is why I call it the sun god. And this system, we can have that things transporting the things up 500 meters or 1 kilometer in north, south. In the middle, we have the house where we prepare the things, and you can have kilometers of these things with crops downstairs without to be a place cover from everywhere. Not a kiln, I don't remember. But with glasses everywhere can be in the open air. In many places, Africa, Asia, in many places. This one is a closed one, we have a different one. Also you can have this go transporters in different places and have to go outside. I took this one, herbs, because herbs can be part of the doing bread. Say, because I will have a program with bread, and we can have bread from corn, from soya, from mix with many things. And you can have these products dry to mix with the flour. And can be produced in those other things that I showed before, 1 kilometer distance. It's a funny picture, but we can do it easily. If you have land in a place and you are prepared for these things and very rich in nutrients, and you can give water, you can have these things in the middle of the desert. Or in the desert, it's too hot with the sun, we need a protection for sun too. But we can produce these things outside if you have, actually later on, because there are one pictures we can see really how these things can be made by machines. It's this one. Because you can have a proper soil prepared for each time, very rich in nutrients to have them. And you have rounds and you have squares. Let's have an idea that this square is 50 centimeters by 50. But you can have 50 by 2 meters and a half, that is large for a track. And these things can be putting in floor, taken from the floor with a machine and go from the fields. You just need after to put the water. That means the shape of these things are important because it's a possibility to work with the machinery to move it in the floors without any person moving them. You just move them, put them in machines, prepare the soil for them, for what we want, like the watermelon. If the Irish have the water, they can grow that size. And many places without land, you can have this. Like there are some pictures in the head, I go what we can do in deserts or in places only with water, with the stones in the floor, in the soil. Different things. See? This thing can be done by only water or with soil too. Another way, another way to do it at home, with lights of course. This is juncal grass that is good for mushrooms, but also for animal feed. And it can be in very regions very dry. Sorry. This is, I was to do, I'm going maybe to appear in the future. You can subscribe my programs, but because when I'm going to do them, if you subscribe and you link, you are going to have them, if the next programs, you are going to have them in your system and you can check new things from me. Not me for a long time, because I don't think I can live more than 1 year, 2 or 3. I'm just waiting to die not so far away. because now I begin to have problems with the chemo, and I begin to left all my strong and difficulties to moving. But as you see, you have Brazil, Amazonia, still very green to all this part. But Africa is not like that. We don't have trees in Africa. You have just in this country. The rest is not so much. Is it? We just get all the trees everywhere. We get specialized. For example, here appears Europe, but it's not trees, it's fields, because it's very important to have the Google. Because I have this photography for a reason. Because we can increase in this situation oil palm tree in this part on the north and in this part here. Because equator line is here, like Malaysia, Indonesia, that are here, you see, the line? That is the places for palm tree now, that came from Africa. They went to Asia and to South America, but they are Africans. They are from Guinea. I don't know if it's this Guinea or the Portuguese Guinea before that was here, in this part here. As you see, the line is the equator line, it comes here. I know because I have seen before, and goes this way. So you need to begin to have all palm trees to get for the environment, because they took a lot of carbon, the gas, to the roots. And the roots of these things are big. They are one of the best trees to put the carbon on the land. And they have lots of the leaves. They can be for animal feed, because I listen from people from this region. They give the leaves of the palms to the animals. One of these, present this way here, is absolutely fantastic to create camels, because camels eat everything. They can eat the tree himself. The camels can eat everything. If they don't have food, they can eat dead animals, timber. They try to survive. It's the best animal to survive is the camel. I'll say, with duckweed or spirulina, that I think in these situations will be much easier to have duckweed, with a palm tree leaves and other vegetables, you can recover, you can produce a lot of oil and protect the environment and save the planet, because these things are without trees. If you go to Google Maps, you see that how things are. You can just zoom in the Google Maps and to see. It's why the next plantations of palm oil tree must be checked by Google Maps to prove that we are not cutting the forest, the rainforest, but you are increasing the region with trees and for forest. So it's absolutely the opposite. And these things, all the world must think about this and to buy palm oil to save the environment, the air, because are the best tree for that. You don't find so many trees for the environment like the palm tree. At some times, Africa gets a little more money, and we will have one more crop to use oil in big quantities. That will be from these regions that now deserts are coming down, and you are not doing anything. And the palm tree is the best solution for this situation. Roots and the top for animal feed, and for the oil for human feed. And the rest of when we prepare the oil from palm tree, we need to begin to think, for example, because spirulina don't make so much fat in the food. But when we are preparing the oil, you can keep all the seeds dry to give to animal feeds for them to get fast, and the last day before killing them, we need to give them to eat. Is why palm trees for regions near the sea salt, coconuts, and the other thing you can give to the camels. Okay? And you can do fertilizers with not good parts. I don't know how much protein the leaves have. less or much, but we have now the possibility to use a different kind of protein that we are not using for drinking with spirulina, or liquid to eat wet or dry. It's nice, but I'm thinking for places with a little salt water for the deserts. Because one of the things to save the planet, or to save some countries, or give opportunity to some countries, is to take salt water inside. Because the salt water inside are going to change the environment, are going to have water that without to be salt water is impossible to have right there. You see, to make oil. These things part, you can go to fertilizers, or for camels in a machine, cutting everything. Camels eat everything. This is not I don't mean for moles or that's. And say both of them, you have food for camels. This is what people are against palm oil tree, because we cut everything. Lots of the soils and the places where we have them, they didn't have already trees there. Some parts have, and other parts don't have. Is why is before doing a plantation of palm tree, using Google, proved the date that it was not properly a forest in that place. To invest, we have machines for everything, for coconuts, for this one is for dates. It can be used for coconuts. Today you have equipment that we have everything to do everything. You can visit amazing factory from palm tree. You just need to go to YouTube. You see these things are from all YouTube. Looking for the names and look in YouTube. Are very interesting. One more. Transport of the palm fruit for long distance. I look for many things. Banana plant don't have so much protein, but can be good for example, for buffalo, camel, cows, chicken. Can be used and mixed with another things. Is because we have been very rich without thinking what to do with our crops. We have corn, we throw the corn away. There is no value. When you have a vegetable or a crop, you need to see everything that you can use in each country. Don't forget, in 10 years' time, you can have not things to eat. That is important, the governments and people minding a little if they want to die or they want to survive. People are free to choose. People can choose to die famine. In a country if no one is minding, is what are going to happen. It's the people's choice. Not really better is too, because we have governments without governments. There are many countries, but I just recognize one government in the world. The rest I don't recognize because they don't make any government. They are there for the show and to get money. This is an old system, climate, to get bananas plants, you see? And full of bamboo too. Because there are regions full of bamboo. Is why these things must be explained to the people and the governments begin to think that if they want mind with their people or not, or they are there for earning money. It's a show of governments. Corn is very good protein if it's well dry. It's my region. I'm from a region from potatoes and corn. And it's what the cows eat without anything else. They eat this in winter time. We kept them for winter time, and we give grass to them. Normally, they are when it was a rudimentary agriculture, but can be made in pallets to give. The parts are hard, but can be done in pallets to give the animals. Because today, this is pine timber, but I just took this ways how to transport these products with plastic, for example. We say silaging, where we kept the food all inside the plastic, a big round. And we can have them in this form. I say, when we are cutting like before the corn, you can put, making the machines collecting and make this immediately. For example, cassava have a very funny, green parts are full of protein, are rich in protein. This part don't have protein. Too much protein, is it? It's more rich in protein, these parts that can give in to the animals. Is what I think is written here. Than what we eat normally. The protein is more in this region. Okay, so I'll open after I'll show what is good for us. It's like we have agave plant from Mexico, but another countries. They are good for drinks and for health, for many products. And it's not, and after you can give them to the animals. There is one more crop. Then when you are collecting them, you could collect everything for the animals. Aloe vera. But those are crops and cattle, all of them are this part, they can be used for many things, all the body of the cat. And one of them is alcohol. For people enjoy it, I didn't forget that sometimes. Because blue agave gives, don't have taste. That means you can have things like this one for drinking. This one is with 22. And I love this thing to use them in the fridge, in the freezing part. Drinking from the fridge, please. Because it's very tasteful drinking that way. It's one of the things that I miss. It's very popular in Germany, but not in the rest of the country. But you can believe it's really very good. I see snaps, cherry, less sugar. If you have alcohol without taste from a natural thing, things will taste are nice. One more. I never drank much agave azul. Agave blue is best for tequila. Is the tequila. If you can have it. And after the lips can be done for another thing. So say, if you can have them in your different countries, is one more crop. One more funny thing. This is from my region. This is better than the chili. Not chili. The other one is for making desserts with fever, because this one tastes much better. But not all of them are like that. For that you need to choose the quality. What is the name of it? It's less chili, but it's not chili. It's a very good one. It's from Portugal. Like this one used to eat for making soup, cream. It's very good for cream, and it was for to get the porks, both of them, to get the pork's fat. But you can eat in food. Many cats are using them for food. But this one is very good to make sweets, kind of marmalade. I'll see today you can do everything. For example, when I took this photo, if you are in a desert and you want to have vine trees, plastic tube can go inside, because the roots, something very important is to know how roots work in these things. Because in a region that is not good for anything, you can have wine, if the climate is proper for that, in a tube of 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters a tube, with properly soil for the crop that you are going to use there. For example, I look for the protein. I want to have. I didn't find it. How much protein you have for the lips for animal feed? I didn't find it, but in this week I discovered something because spirulina and liquid don't get. The animals get a lot of muscle, but don't get so much fat. And this one can be one of the future crops for animal, for them to get fat at near the end of their life, to get food very fat. Because we make oil with them, you can produce them for animal feed. And if it's all dry, if it's not so much, we say protein, anyway, it's a vegetable dry, but with other proteins, for example, it's fat and protein here. For cows, porks, for everything, for pellets, you can use it. I don't know if someone are using it for animal feed. That can be like soya and alfalfa, one of the things for animal feed. I don't think you need to do alfalfa now and soya for animal feed. We have very different things, not using soya or alfalfa. And every country must be prepared to have the things for animal feed and human feed in that country, as much as possible. Like bread, you can have many ways to make bread with different things, and much less expensive, and sold in market much more expensive. But people have the right of life and to buy food in a proper way with the money for it. It's why it's very important to start everything that we can have in our countries. Don't forget, climate is changing. I took this part because China are preparing them for salt places with salt. Like they have the rice, this part are prepared for salty water too. This is a salty water vegetable, rich in protein, good for eating. If it's good for eating for humans, it must be good eaten for animals. Sugar cane. Now I think I saw in one thing, they are beginning to have illness. But you still have many ways to have animal feed. But in each region, like sugar cane, can be a good region for camels. Depends, because camels eat everything. Camels give meat and give milk and meat. And in lots of regions that you are not paying attention to the crops and not using for animal feed can be very rich for that kind of animals. Buffalo, camel, cows. I just took it to see that you can have agriculture very specialized with the equipment. And like sometimes, when we make holes here, you can prepare the land with a different soil, taken from another part, rich for what we want to produce. That means places that we don't have soil, that we have stones, you still can produce trees. One more system. They can be by spray or by a plastic tube that gives in the things water, and after go to separate around all the table and give water for the things. You can use two systems for using water. I see the crops, very nice for animal feeds. The birds will flew shit in this thing goes to the machine and mix everything with the food that we give to the animals. And we have the bird flu going from when we collect the crops, is why bird flu appears in some places, not by contact, but by contamination when we take the crops from the field. Another thing that is very popular in some places is to have birds near the places where we keep cereals. We cannot allow that situation near a cereal place. and pigeons mainly. There are places they are keeping rice, wheat, this one, soya, and we have pigeons on the top sitting in them, in the material. It cannot be allowed to have birds in this situation where we keep the crops. And it's the same as the contamination of high pigs and birds with flu that are going to go to the animals. Because when we collect them, we mix the machines, just break everything, and the virus go in the cereals for the place where we have the animals. For example, this one is a pistachio tree. I look it when I was looking for the roots. It's a very large root. It must be a good soil to have them because the roots go far away. It's something, trees like apple, pears, peach. We can prepare a small place to have a different soil, but not in this one because the roots are going this way. Only roots that are not far away from the tree, you can have them in very different places. Sorghum. I would say we have this part here, this and spirulina. You can have cows to have milk and porks. It's speaking about the camels, our way we have them. But I will see camels eat everything. And we can give spironolactone because they can prepare the stomach with the water. If you have them like this in a place, you just need to give time by time water for them not to need to drink every day, not 15 days, because they can eat liquid, wet, from the pound, or spirulina for big organizations, but water after they must drink in certain times for drinking the water to get the protein. Near the sea, you see, you can have vegetables for camels. For camels eat everything. For buffalo, you can use buffaloes in some parts where we have wetlands because they are prepared more for eating things with water than other animals. Horses and cows are not prepared for drinking some products with so much wet. Salt water from Aveiro, Portugal, where I'm from, is from my region. This is salt water. Normal water. That we have vegetables, so I can say there are many ways to have some animals cleaning sometimes, and buffalo is one of the most important for this situation. This is a river in the north of Portugal. It's with duckweed. Duckweed can be very invasive, but they can be used for fertilizers like I use in my region, 1 kilometer from where I'm born. We have a big lagoon, and in the past it was full of vegetables. Not this one, that we use for the crops in the fields. It was what people used in the past in the fields, was this part. A very complicated way to separate, you can see, because spirulina, from what I've been using for diesel or petrol, and for pills for people, I've been using, but not in big quantities, because spirulina is a very complete, it's very thin. It's good for drinking, not dry, because it's very complicated to separate the spirulina. It's why I forget, and that just when I find I can give the animals and human spirulina for drinking, is the way that you can use spirulina in big quantities, and is one of the most important, because they have 60-70% of protein and full amino acids. And it's that situation that if it's drinking, you can produce a lot because it's easy. If you are going to put it dry or concentrated, it's a nightmare. It's not good for anything. Liquid lema is can be used for fish, more for fish. Carp. I think it's grass carp is the name of the carp that I go to have a program with fish. Fish and deserts. Because if you have a pond with, I just go speaking in this program about what is, I just finished to say the name, grass carp. It's a very invasive species that eats everything. They clean the rivers. I know that for a program I watched from United States. They are trying to stop them not to go to the Great Lake. And because they eat everything, is why grass carp can be like tofu, chicken, one of the fishes for the poor people, for the people who are not rich, that we have plenty in our world, more that people who have money. And can be a font of protein for many people. And this one is a nice thing to give them to eat the grass carp and produce them for animal feed, because you can have carp, small ones, to give to another fish, producing them for fish eating, and producing them for food, human food, and animal food, because today you have the pets, cats and dogs. Both of them can eat fish. It's more common we think that cats eat fish, but it's not true. Cats and dogs, they eat fish like humans. They are not any difference. You must give fish and meat to have an animal with healthy. That will, you see, if it goes too far away, too for longer, grows too much and gets damaged, we need to control the duckweed. No, I didn't finish. Yeah, the duckweed. Now, I begin to do this job with this getting away for the salty waters. My first thought, it was this thing, if camels could eat it, is mangrove. To use inside the country. For example, China have a region with a lot of salty water. And it was the first thing I looked for, the salty waters in some places to use this thing. And I think and the mangrove, not a snail. I think I have in this program, because I was to have the two pictures together. I'm very forgetful, I cannot remember things. I'm 64 now. This is from my region 45 years ago. Between this region, I have salt water in one place, salt water in another from the sea, and from inside the river that goes with salt water. I think they have their potatoes. They are very rich in agriculture, but I think it's only potatoes and cabbage that they are very rich. You see, with some part of salt water, you still can have crops. Is why the deserts and to have salt water will be interesting thing that I go to do a different program for this. This is what it was a picture for the deserts. You see, in many places in the deserts near the sea, you have these things. You can introduce water, and you can produce salty algae, salty fish in these situations like ponds. Obviously, I have things for seawater too. This is very near where I live now. It's a dump to prepare to do electricity. I went there once. They don't produce any electricity. They can begin to produce electricity by electricity. And now, with the system that I got to produce electricity near zero price. because it's possible to produce electricity with electricity. You spend 5% of the electricity and 95% you can sell the electricity from the system. Just need electrical engine and a generator. This thing have a generator for water, but it's possible to use the generator. You use the water to begin the generator begin to work. When it's on, we stop the water and you connect a small engine to produce the electricity. That is one problem that I did. Is when I go to college agriculture. The other one is electricity. That is already in YouTube. But this situation changed because it's a very hot water region. This thing changed all the countryside around and the city where I live. Now it's much cool, not so dry. It changed all the environment. Is why when we are taking the water sea to the middle of the desert, you are getting warm nights, you are getting cool days, and this water, if it's salty, are going to filtrate in the sun, goes around, and there will be a time that it's possible to drink the water from the water that you use in desert with salt. Must be with salt because we have now, you can have very low prices for, and sometimes free price electricity, zero value. But it's not the price of electricity, it's the quantity of the water that we need to do this. That is not possible with changing the salt water to sweet water. It must be done with salt water. Or will take with highway for doing the job. Because the future environment for us in 10 years is this. Or this situation, or the dry situation, we don't have crops. For dry, you don't have crops because we have so much hot. Because the problem is the problem of the methane that are coming from the north. It's very nice to say that you can go around the North Pole now from Europe to Asia. But when we have that, you cannot live outside. It's very nice to think that you can transport things in ships in that way. But at that time, we can live outside. Because the methane that is on the lands are going to go to the atmosphere and create much, much water. Workers in China, you see, now they have machines for everything. In the past, they use these tools for doing the agriculture. Is why a country like China must be get specialized in doing the jobs properly. And there are means for doing that, like this one. Another way for them to get crops, you use this to have eucalyptus. I think that they are going to appear here. But you need to open the land or for cassava. I took this more for cassava because it gets soft, the land. We get the nutrients in certain lines. You cannot do everything at the same time. You can use like this one year, and the next year you are using here or here. Or say when we take one, you are going to do again, you can do by side. And in this time, we are preparing every time for the crops. A way to make holes in the deserts, you see, for trees, or in places that we have water, but we don't have soil. But you can prepare the soil in another part and transport for these things, you see. You can prepare the soil outside and changing the soil with fertilizers and choose the kind of trees that we want here. If we have water, you can have fruit trees everywhere with stone, soils, sun. You can do that with water. Today we have equipment for everything. Another that appears here, the corn, the protein content. My surprise with potatoes. For example, we can do, because we do wheat to do bread. I think here appears the prices. I go to speak with the price. Because we have wheat, we have corn, we have potato. You can do bread with potatoes, though. And I think with cassava too. One more way. Bamboo, how we are going to mold to have for the cereals. And this is the sun god is the end of the program now, because when it appears, it finishes everything. Thank you for listening to my program. Don't forget to subscribe to have the news from my next programs. Thank you very much.